Only 10 seconds left, and I need you to hear this clearly, because this moment is not random. You didn't stumble onto this by accident. Something within you paused, even for a second, and that pause was not distraction, it was alignment. My dear child, this is the kind of moment that only comes when you are finally ready to carry what once would have overwhelmed you. Feel the weight of that for a second. Not fear, awareness. Because here is the question that lingers quietly beneath the surface: what happens if you ignore this? What happens if you scroll past the very signal that was sent to meet you at the exact second your spirit became strong enough to receive it? There has been a timing over your life. A delay that didn't make sense. Doors that almost opened, then closed. Opportunities that felt close enough to touch, then vanished. You thought it was rejection. You thought it was loss. But what if it was protection? What if heaven itself was holding something back, not to deny you, but to prepare you? And now something has shifted. You may not see it yet. You may not have language for it. But deep down, there has been a quiet change, a subtle awareness, a restlessness, a feeling that something is different even if everything looks the same. That feeling is not confusion. That is confirmation. You are not the same person you were in your last season. The weight you carry now would have crushed the version of you from before. But you endured. You grew. You were refined in ways no one else could see. And that is why this moment matters. Because readiness doesn't arrive with noise. It comes silently. It comes disguised as ordinary time, until suddenly, everything depends on whether you recognize it or not. So stay here. Don't rush past this. Because in the next moment, I'm going to show you why you were brought here, and what has been waiting for you longer than you realize. And now you are still here, which means something deeper is holding your attention, something steady, something protective, something intentional. My dear child, before anything else, you need to understand this with complete clarity. You are safe in this moment, and nothing about this encounter is accidental or misplaced today. There is a covering over you even now, a quiet protection that has followed you through moments you didn't even recognize as dangerous. You have been guided more times than you can count, redirected without explanation, delayed without warning, and held back when you thought you were ready, yet something greater knew better. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. You are not watching this because you were searching randomly or passing time. You are here because something within you responded to a call your mind could not fully explain. That inner pull, that pause you felt earlier, that was not curiosity alone. That was recognition at a deeper level. And I need you to feel this, not just hear it. You have not been forgotten. You have not been overlooked. Even in your quietest moments, even in the times when it felt like nothing was moving and no one was answering, there was still movement happening around you, carefully arranged, carefully timed, carefully protected in ways you could not yet see. My dear child, there has always been a reason. A reason for the delays. A reason for the waiting. A reason certain things did not work out the way you expected. And while it may have felt like confusion, like silence, like absence, it was never emptiness. It was preparation taking place beneath the surface of your understanding. Because what is coming into your life was never meant to meet the old version of you. It required strength. It required clarity. It required a version of you that would not break under the weight of it. And so, slowly, quietly, without announcement, you were being shaped into someone who could carry what once would have overwhelmed you completely. That is why you are here now. Not early. Not late. Exactly when you are meant to be. And even if part of you still feels uncertain, still questioning, still wondering why things don't fully make sense yet, that feeling is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is unfolding just beyond your current understanding. Because the truth is, what you were being prepared for, has already started moving toward you. And as this begins to settle within you, something else is rising to the surface, the truth of what you've been carrying for far too long. My dear child, this is the moment where you are seen, not for what you show the world, but for what you have endured in silence. Because not everyone knows your story. They didn't see the nights where your thoughts would not rest, where you questioned everything, where you wondered if you were falling behind while everyone else seemed to be moving forward. They didn't feel the weight of waiting, the kind of waiting that stretches your faith, the kind that makes you wonder if you misunderstood everything. You showed up anyway. Even when you felt overlooked. Even when doors closed without explanation. Even when you gave your best and it still wasn't enough in the eyes of others. That quiet rejection, that subtle dismissal, that feeling of being unseen, it stayed with you longer than you expected. And then came the fatigue. Not just physical, but deep spiritual exhaustion. The kind where you still believe, but you are tired of hoping. The kind where you still pray, but your words feel heavy. The kind where you keep going, but part of you wonders how much longer you can carry it all without breaking. And yet, you didn't stop. That matters more than you realize. Because there were moments where giving up would have been easier. Moments where drifting back into comfort, into distraction, into silence would have required less strength than continuing forward. But something inside you refused to fully let go. Even when you doubted, you didn't disconnect completely. Even when you felt lost, you kept searching. Even when it seemed like nothing was changing, you stayed present enough to notice when something felt slightly different. That is not weakness. That is endurance. My dear child, what you thought was you barely holding on, was actually you being held in ways you could not see. What you thought was delay, was a process. What you thought was rejection, was redirection. And what you thought was silence, was something being formed without interference. You were not being ignored. You were being shaped. Every moment of confusion, every unanswered question, every setback that didn't make sense, it was all working beneath the surface, building something within you that could not be rushed, could not be forced, and could not be given prematurely. Because if it had come earlier, it would not have lasted. And deep down, you know that. There is a part of you that recognizes that you are not the same as you were before. You respond differently now. You see things differently. You feel more aware, even if you cannot fully explain why. That shift didn't happen by accident. It came through everything you survived quietly. So let me ask you something, and really sit with this. What if none of it was wasted? What if the delays, the rejection, the exhaustion, the silence? What if all of it was actually preparing you for something that is not only real, but already approaching your life right now? Because if that is true, then everything changes from this moment forward. Because if that is true, then everything changes from this moment forward. And this is where your awareness becomes a decision. My dear child, right now, whether you realize it or not, you are standing between two paths. Not in some distant future, not at some perfect moment when everything feels clear, but here, in this exact second, with everything you already carry inside you. The first path is familiar. It is the path of drifting. This is where doubt quietly returns. Where you begin to question what you just felt. Where your mind starts to explain it away, telling you it was just emotion, just coincidence, just another passing moment. On this path, nothing dramatic happens at first. That is what makes it so subtle. You simply go back to what you know. Back to overthinking. Back to waiting without expectation. Back to carrying the same questions without allowing yourself to believe there could be real answers. And slowly, almost invisibly, the sense of momentum you just touched begins to fade. Not because it wasn't real, but because it wasn't held on to. This path does not punish you. It repeats you. It loops you back into the same patterns, the same delays, the same feelings of almost, but not quite. It keeps everything just close enough to feel possible, but never close enough to fully arrive. And then, there is the second path. The path of alignment. This is not a path where everything suddenly becomes easy. This is a path where you choose to trust what you felt, even if you cannot yet explain it. Where you allow yourself to believe that this moment had meaning, that your timing is not off, that something is actually shifting. On this path, you begin to move differently. You become more aware of your thoughts, more intentional with your energy, more willing to release what no longer feels right, even if it once felt familiar. You stop chasing what is not aligned, and instead, you begin to recognize what is. And something remarkable happens here. What once felt delayed, starts to move. What once felt blocked, begins to open. Not all at once. Not in a way that overwhelms you. But in a steady, undeniable way that confirms you are no longer where you used to be. This path does not rush you. It responds to you. It meets you at your level of readiness, and it builds from there. So the question is not which path exists. Both are already in front of you. The real question is, which one will you choose to step into, fully and consciously, starting now? Because the truth is, something has already been placed before you. Something that does not belong to your past patterns or your old limitations. Something that will not respond to doubt the same way it responds to trust. Something that can only open when you are aligned with it. And in the next moment, I am going to show you what that is, because there is a door in front of you right now, and it has been waiting for you to recognize it. And now that you can feel the weight of this choice, I need you to see what has been in front of you all along, even if you didn't recognize it before. Close your eyes for a moment, not physically, but inwardly, and picture this. There is a door. Not an ordinary door, not something random or misplaced, but something that carries a presence. It stands before you, steady, unmoving, untouched by time in the way everything else around you has shifted. You have passed by it before without fully seeing it. You have stood near it without understanding what it was. Because until now, it was not meant to open. My dear child, this door was never locked to keep you out. It was held closed to keep you from stepping into something before you were ready to carry it. There is a difference, and that difference changes everything. You called it delay. Heaven called it protection. And standing beside that door, there is a shield. Not something you picked up on your own. Not something you earned through effort alone. This shield has been placed there, quietly, faithfully, long before you understood why it was needed. It has intercepted things you never saw coming. It has absorbed moments that could have broken you. It has stood between you and outcomes that would have taken more from you than you were meant to lose. That is why some things never reached you. That is why some paths collapsed before you could walk them fully. It was not loss. It was covering. And now, for the first time, you are being allowed to see both the door and the shield at the same time. Because something has aligned that has never aligned before. Your readiness, and the timing. Before, one was always ahead of the other. Either you were willing, but not prepared. Or you were prepared, but not yet aware. But now, something within you has caught up to something beyond you. And that is when movement begins. You may not hear it yet, but there is a shift happening around that door. Not loud, not dramatic, but real. The stillness is changing. The waiting is thinning. The sense of distance between where you are and what is meant for you, is no longer what it used to be. Because the door responds to who you have become, not who you used to be. And that is why it did not open before. If it had opened when you first wanted it to, you would have stepped through with the same mindset, the same patterns, the same weight that would not have been able to sustain what was waiting on the other side. It would have overwhelmed you. It would not have lasted. But now you are different. Stronger in ways you didn't measure. Wiser in ways you didn't notice. More aware, more grounded, more capable of holding what once would have slipped through your hands. This is what the timing was waiting for. Not perfection. Readiness. And here is the part you cannot ignore. You have already been given a sign that this door is no longer closed in the same way it was before. A moment, a feeling, a shift, something small that didn't seem significant at first, but it stayed with you longer than it should have. You brushed past it. You told yourself it was nothing. But it wasn't. And in the next moment, I'm going to show you exactly what that sign meant, and why it changes everything now. And now you are ready to understand what that sign truly meant, because it was never random, and it was never small. My dear child, the moment you brushed off, the feeling you could not explain, the shift that seemed too subtle to matter, that was the signal. Not something loud, not something undeniable to the outside world, but something precise, something personal, something designed to meet you exactly where you are. Because the truth is, the signal was never meant to force you. It was meant to awaken you. You have been looking for something obvious, something unmistakable, something that would remove all doubt in an instant. But that is not how alignment speaks. It does not overwhelm you with certainty. It invites you into awareness. And that changes how you must see everything that has already happened. Those delays you carried frustration over, they were not empty time. They were space being created. Space for you to grow, space for circumstances to rearrange, space for things that were not aligned to move out of your path without destroying you in the process. What felt like silence was not absence. It was construction. There were things being built around you and within you that required stillness. If everything had been loud, if everything had been active, you would have missed the deeper formation taking place beneath the surface. And those closed opportunities, the ones that confused you the most, the ones that felt perfect at the time, the ones you thought were the answer, the ones you invested your energy into, only to watch them fall apart without explanation. You called them setbacks. But they were interruptions on purpose. Because not everything that looks right is meant to remain. Some things are allowed to appear in your life just long enough to reveal something within you, your patterns, your expectations, your attachments, and then they are removed before they can anchor you in the wrong direction. That was not failure. That was correction. My dear child, you were never moving aimlessly. Even in your uncertainty, even in your questioning, even in your moments of doubt, there was a quiet guidance shaping your path step by step. And now you can begin to see it. Not all at once, not perfectly, but enough to recognize that there has been intention behind every shift, every pause, every redirection. That is what the signal was pointing to. Not just something ahead of you, but something already within you. Because the signal is both external and internal at the same time. Externally, it shows up as moments, interruptions, changes, unexpected turns that move you away from what is not aligned. Internally, it shows up as awareness, as a feeling that something is different, as a quiet knowing that you cannot return to who you used to be. That is why you feel the way you do right now. Part of you is still catching up. Part of you is still trying to understand. But another part of you already knows. And that knowing is where everything begins to shift. Because once you recognize that nothing was wasted, that nothing was random, that everything has been guiding you toward this exact point, you can no longer move the same way you did before. You cannot unknow what you now feel. You cannot go back to seeing your life as disconnected moments. There is a thread running through all of it. And now, you are aware of it. So the question is no longer why things happened the way they did. The question is, now that you see it, now that you feel it, now that you understand that something real has been forming all along, what are you going to do with it? Because in the next moment, I am going to show you exactly how to stay aligned with this shift, so you don't lose what is already beginning to unfold. Because now that you see it, now that you feel it, you cannot remain where you were. Awareness creates responsibility, and alignment must be sustained, not just discovered. My dear child, this is where many people come close, feel the shift, and then slowly drift back without realizing it. Not because they failed, but because they did not know how to stay aligned with what had already begun. So listen carefully, because these 3 keys will protect your momentum and keep you connected to what is unfolding. The first key is this: guard your focus. What you allow your mind to return to will determine whether you move forward or repeat the past. You cannot step into something new while constantly rehearsing what has already been released. Every time you go back into doubt, replay old disappointments, or entertain thoughts that weaken your belief, you pull yourself out of alignment without even noticing it. This does not mean you will never think about your past again. It means you no longer live there. You become aware of what you are feeding your mind. You begin to notice when your thoughts try to pull you backward into fear, into questioning, into overanalyzing everything. And instead of following those thoughts automatically, you pause. You redirect. You remind yourself that something is already shifting, even if you cannot see all of it yet. Guarding your focus is not about perfection. It is about awareness. Because what you consistently focus on becomes the environment your alignment grows in. The second key is this: trust the timing. This is where many people struggle the most, because once you feel that something is changing, you want it to happen immediately. You want confirmation. You want visible movement. You want results that match what you now believe internally. But alignment does not rush. It unfolds. There is still a process happening, even now. Just because the door is ready does not mean everything beyond it appears instantly. There are connections aligning, circumstances shifting, pieces moving into place that you cannot see yet. If you try to force it, you create resistance. If you trust it, you stay in flow. My dear child, the same timing that protected you before is the same timing that is guiding you now. It did not fail you then, and it will not fail you now. What is meant for you will not pass you because you chose patience over pressure. Trusting timing is not passive. It is active belief. It is choosing to remain steady even when nothing looks different yet, knowing that movement is still happening beyond your view. The third key is this: act in quiet obedience. This is not about loud, dramatic actions. This is about the small, consistent steps that feel right, even if they do not make sense to anyone else. You will begin to feel subtle nudges, moments where something tells you to move, to stop, to speak, to wait, to shift your direction slightly. These are not random. These are guidance. And the more you respond to them, the clearer they become. You do not need to have the entire path revealed to you. You only need to follow what is being shown to you now. One step, then another, then another. Quiet obedience builds alignment in a way that force never can. Because force comes from fear. Obedience comes from trust. And trust keeps you connected. Now let me ask you something, and respond honestly, even if it is just within yourself. If you are ready to stay aligned with what is already unfolding, type, "I am aligned." Not as a habit, not as a trend, but as a declaration of awareness. Because when you say it, when you acknowledge it, you anchor yourself more deeply into this moment. My dear child, these three keys are simple, but they are powerful. Guard your focus. Trust the timing. Act in quiet obedience. If you hold on to these, you will not lose what is already beginning to move in your life. But you must also understand this. The closer you get to alignment, the more subtle the distractions become. They will not always appear as obvious negativity. Sometimes they will look like comfort, like familiar habits, like harmless thoughts that slowly pull your attention away. And if you are not aware of them, they can gently guide you back into the very cycle you have just stepped out of. And this is where your awareness must become sharper than ever before, because not everything that pulls at you will look like resistance at first. My dear child, now that you have stepped into alignment, now that something has begun to shift, there will also be movement in the opposite direction. Not to stop you, but to test whether you will remain steady. Resistance does not always arrive as something obvious. It rarely announces itself as fear or doubt in a way you can easily reject. Instead, it comes quietly, subtly, almost convincingly. It sounds like your own voice. It tells you to slow down, to question what you felt, to wait a little longer before you fully believe. It reminds you of past disappointments, not to protect you, but to make you hesitate. It brings back old patterns, familiar habits, comfortable distractions that once felt normal, but now feel slightly out of place. That feeling, that slight discomfort, that is your awareness waking up. Because what once felt natural to you will no longer fit the same way. And then there is external resistance. Voices around you that do not understand what is shifting within you. People who may not see your growth, who speak from their own limitations, their own fears, their own perspective that has not changed the way yours has. They may not mean harm. But their words can still pull at your focus if you are not grounded. Situations may also begin to challenge you. Small disruptions. Unexpected delays. Moments that feel like they are trying to pull you back into frustration or impatience. And in those moments, it can feel like everything is slowing down again. But look deeper. This is not the same delay you experienced before. This is resistance meeting your movement. And that changes how you must respond. Because resistance at this stage is not a sign that you are off track. It is a sign that you are close. Close to stepping into something different. Close to breaking out of a pattern that has repeated itself for too long. Close to entering a space where your old ways of thinking, reacting, and responding can no longer follow you. That is why it feels stronger. Not because it is more powerful than you, but because you are no longer agreeing with it the way you used to. Before, doubt could settle in without question. Now, you notice it. Before, fear could guide your decisions quietly. Now, it feels out of place. Before, you could drift without awareness. Now, something inside you pulls you back toward alignment. That inner pull, that is your breakthrough trying to hold you steady. My dear child, you must understand this clearly. Resistance grows louder when you stop listening to it. It becomes more persistent when you stop following it. It tries different ways to reach you when the old ways no longer work. But none of that means you are losing. It means you are no longer available to what once controlled you. And that is where resilience is built. Not by avoiding resistance, but by recognizing it and choosing differently in the moment it appears. Every time you choose alignment over doubt, trust over fear, awareness over distraction, you weaken the hold that resistance once had over you. And slowly, steadily, it loses its influence. But here is the truth you cannot ignore. The closer you move toward what is meant for you, the more refined the resistance becomes. It will not try to push you away forcefully. It will try to gently pull you back into what is familiar. And if you are not paying attention, that is where people slip. Not at the beginning, but right before the breakthrough. So now the question becomes even more important than before. If resistance is a sign that you are close, then how do you hold your position? How do you stay steady long enough for the breakthrough to fully arrive? Because in the next moment, I am going to guide you into something that will anchor this shift within you, so it cannot be easily taken from your awareness. And this is how you hold your position, not just by understanding, but by declaring. My dear child, there is power in what you speak when your words are aligned with what your spirit already knows. This is the moment where you stop observing the shift, and you step into it fully. So I want you to follow with me, not passively, but intentionally. Let these words become yours. I declare that I am no longer the same as I was before. I declare that what tried to delay me did not defeat me. I declare that every closed door that was not meant for me has made space for what is. I receive clarity where there was once confusion. I receive peace where there was once pressure. I receive alignment where there was once uncertainty. I trust that what is unfolding in my life is not random. I trust that I am being guided, even when I cannot see the full path. I trust that what is meant for me is already moving toward me. Feel that as you say it. Not as repetition, but as recognition. Because these are not empty words. These are confirmations of what has already begun shifting within you. You are not trying to become aligned, you are acknowledging that you already are. And now, I want you to take one simple step. Type Amen if you receive this. Not because you have to, not because anyone is forcing you, but because when you engage, when you respond, you anchor yourself more deeply into this moment. You move from listening into participating. You remind yourself that you are not alone in this. There are others feeling this same shift, standing in this same moment, choosing alignment in the same quiet, powerful way. And together, that creates something stronger than isolation ever could. My dear child, you are not overlooked. You are not behind. You are not disconnected. You are chosen to be here, to feel this, to recognize this moment for what it is. Prepared. Strengthened. Ready. And even if part of you is still catching up, even if part of you still feels the weight of what you have carried, something deeper within you has already said yes. That is why you are still here. That is why you did not scroll away. That is why this moment is reaching you now. So stay in this space for just a little longer. Because what we are about to step into next, will not just confirm what you feel, it will settle it within you in a way that brings peace, clarity, and release all at once. And now, my dear child, stay right here in this moment, because this is where everything begins to settle within you. You have felt it, you have recognized it, and now you are going to receive it in a deeper way. Let your thoughts slow down. Let your breathing soften. You do not have to strive here. You do not have to prove anything. You simply have to be present. And as you are here, I speak this over you. May a covering of peace come over your mind right now, quieting every racing thought, every lingering doubt, every question that has been circling without rest. May what once felt heavy begin to lift, not all at once, but enough for you to feel that you are no longer carrying it alone. You are not alone. May protection surround you in ways you cannot always see, guarding your path, redirecting what is not meant for you, and holding back what would have caused harm before its time. May you begin to trust that what did not reach you was never meant to stay, and what is meant for you cannot be taken away. Let that settle into you. May clarity rise within you, gently but steadily, bringing understanding where there was once confusion. Not every answer at once, but the right awareness at the right moment, guiding you step by step without overwhelming your spirit. You do not need to know everything. You only need to trust what is being shown to you now. May strength fill the places within you that once felt tired, restoring what has been drained through waiting, through uncertainty, through carrying more than you were meant to carry alone. May you feel a quiet renewal, a steady rebuilding that does not rush, but does not stop. You are being restored. And as this strength rises, may alignment settle within you more deeply than before. Not as something fragile, not as something temporary, but as something rooted, something steady, something that remains even when circumstances around you have not fully changed yet. Because alignment begins within, not outside. May fear lose its hold over you, not by force, but by replacement. Replaced with peace. Replaced with trust. Replaced with a quiet confidence that you are exactly where you need to be, even if you are still becoming who you are meant to be. My dear child, let go of the pressure to have it all figured out. Let go of the need to control what is still unfolding. Let go of the weight of thinking you are behind. You are not behind. You are in process. And this process is not working against you. It is working for you. May every part of you that felt overlooked begin to feel seen. May every part of you that felt unheard begin to feel acknowledged. May every part of you that felt uncertain begin to feel grounded. You have come through more than you give yourself credit for. And you are stepping into more than you can fully see yet. So receive this moment. Receive this peace. Receive this alignment. Let it move through you, not just as words, but as something real, something present, something active within your life right now. And as this settles, notice what is different. It may be subtle. It may be quiet. But something has shifted. Something within you has become still in a new way. Something around you feels slightly lighter. That is not your imagination. That is confirmation. And as we move forward from here, you will begin to see what has already started to change. And as you begin to notice what has shifted within you, this is where your next step becomes important. Not because you need to chase anything, but because what has been activated in you now needs consistency to remain steady. My dear child, alignment is not a single moment. It is a rhythm. What you felt here, what you recognized, what settled within you during that prayer, it is real. But like anything that is growing, it must be nurtured. Not with pressure, not with perfection, but with gentle awareness and consistent return. You will have moments where you feel clear, centered, and at peace. And you may also have moments where your thoughts try to drift again, where old patterns try to reappear, where the world around you feels loud and distracting. That is why staying connected matters. Not out of obligation, but out of support. Because you are not meant to walk through this shift alone. There is something powerful about being reminded, about hearing truth again when your mind begins to wander, about returning to a space that helps you realign without judgment. That is what this space is for. A place where you can come back, again and again, and feel grounded. A place where you are reminded of what you already know deep down. A place where your awareness is strengthened, not drained. So if this moment spoke to you, if something within you recognized what was said, stay connected. Not just for more messages, but for continuity. Subscribe so you do not lose touch with what is building within you. Share this with someone who may be carrying what you have been carrying, someone who needs to hear that they are not behind, not forgotten, not alone in what they are experiencing. Because sometimes, the same message that reaches you, is meant to reach through you. And in doing that, you become part of something greater than your own journey. You become a source of encouragement, of clarity, of quiet strength for someone else who is still trying to understand what they are feeling. My dear child, consistency is what protects alignment over time. Not intensity. Not urgency. Consistency. Returning to awareness. Returning to trust. Returning to what you now recognize as real. And as you continue forward from here, staying grounded in what you have received, there is still one more thing you need to understand. One more truth that will bring everything together in a way that leaves no uncertainty behind. Because what you have felt so far, is only part of the confirmation. And now, my dear child, here is the truth that brings everything together. The door is no longer waiting on time. It was waiting on you. Not the version of you that was still questioning your worth, not the version of you that would have walked through it carrying doubt, fear, and old patterns that could not sustain what was on the other side. It was waiting for the version of you that has been formed through everything you have endured. And that version of you, is here now. This is the moment where you stop asking if something is about to change, and you begin to understand that it already has. You are not standing at the edge of a new season. You have stepped into it. Even if everything around you has not caught up yet, something within you has crossed a threshold that cannot be undone. The awareness you carry now, the steadiness you feel, the clarity that has begun to settle, these are not temporary emotions. They are evidence of transition. The door is open. Not in a way that demands urgency, not in a way that overwhelms you, but in a way that invites you forward with peace instead of pressure. What is on the other side of this door is not meant to confuse you or break you. It is meant to meet you. To match who you have become. To respond to the alignment you now carry. This is why the timing matters. Because if it had opened before, you would have tried to force your way through, holding on to things that could not come with you. You would have stepped in with the same mindset that kept you circling, the same habits that would have slowed you down, the same weight that would have turned something meant for you into something difficult to maintain. But now, you are different. You are not chasing in the same way. You are not reacting in the same way. You are not holding on to what no longer feels aligned. You are aware. And awareness changes everything. My dear child, this new season is not defined by sudden perfection. It is defined by quiet certainty. You may still have questions. You may still be figuring things out step by step. But underneath all of that, there is something steady, something grounded, something that was not there before. That is your confirmation. You are no longer asking from a place of lack. You are moving from a place of alignment. And as you continue forward, you will begin to see the evidence of this shift in ways that feel natural, not forced. Opportunities will not feel like something you have to chase endlessly. They will feel like something you recognize when they appear. Connections will not feel draining or confusing. They will feel clear, steady, and mutual. Decisions will not feel heavy in the same way. You will feel guided, even when you take small steps. This is how you will know. Not through noise, but through peace. So receive this fully. Receive the understanding that nothing you went through was wasted. Receive the clarity that what did not work out was never meant to remain. Receive the assurance that what is meant for you is not delayed anymore. It is aligned. And now, I speak this over you as you step forward. May your mind remain clear, even when the world around you becomes loud. May your heart remain steady, even when circumstances are still shifting. May your awareness remain sharp, so you can recognize what is aligned without hesitation. May you walk through this open door with confidence, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust the path that is unfolding before you. May what is meant for you meet you without resistance. May what is not meant for you continue to fall away without struggle. May your steps be guided, your choices be grounded, and your direction be steady. You are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into alignment. My dear child, take a moment and feel that. You made it here. Through everything that tried to slow you down, through every delay that tested your patience, through every moment that made you question if you were moving in the right direction, you are still here. And not just here, ready. Ready to carry what once would have overwhelmed you. Ready to receive what once would have confused you. Ready to move forward without needing to go back. This is your confirmation. The waiting has shifted. The door has opened. The season has changed. And as you continue forward from this moment, trust this above all else. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are not starting over. You are continuing, from a place of alignment that has already begun to shape everything ahead of you. So go forward with peace. Go forward with awareness. Go forward knowing that what is meant for you is no longer distant. It is present. And it is unfolding with you, step by step, exactly as it should.